President Biden. He is saying he's going to run again in 2024. Will you support him?
You know, if the president chooses to run again in 2024, I mean, first of all, I'm focused on winning this majority right now and preserving a majority this year in 2022. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think if the president has a vision, then that's something certainly we're all willing to entertain and examine when the time comes.
Republicans seek to take control of the House of Representatives.
Republicans are going to retake both the House and Senate.
A liberal MSNBC host warning Democrats about the potential for a red wave.
Do we have any sort of canary in the coal mine type indications of where we may be headed on that front?
Fox News is calling the Virginia governor's race for Republican Glenn Youngkin.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
Welcome back to the Ruthless Variety program. We got a fun one in store for you today. In addition to your usual cast of characters, we have Governor Christie in studio with us.
Oh, yes. I am here and ready to be ruthless.
And you've decided to put your career in our hands for the next hour, which is really, I mean, it's questionable at some level.
Believe me, I've done much more questionable things than this, and I'm still here. So let's roll the dice and see what happens.
We'll see. You were met. So the intro was AOC refusing to support Joe Biden's reelection because if you ask anybody in the White House, of course, President Biden is running. He can't spit out so much of a sentence, but
he's barely walking, let alone running. I mean, come on.
Right. And AOC's onto this, evidently, because she's not committing herself.
Well, look, I mean, she didn't commit herself the last time. She came to the convention kicking and screaming with her Bernie Sanders shirt on, I think. So, there's no shot that she wants to be with Joe Biden. She never did want to be. She just doesn't want to be. And that was really actually very diplomatic for AOC.
Thought so too.
I mean, I thought she would call him like a, driveling old man and, just like end it right there. So actually, she's really learning Washington stuff. She's becoming Washington AOC. Yeah.
Establishment AOC.
Establishment AOC. That's an establishment answer.
It really was. I mean, the whole, we'll see what vision he has for America. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, she's worried about that.
That's what she's ready to pour over the data to look at Joe Biden's platform and see if it measures up.
But I mean, it's got to be really tough for Joe because he has basically given them the backdoor Green New Deal. He shut down Keystone XL. He's doing basically everything the Bernie folks have wanted. And they're still I don't want anything to do with this guy.
Oh, it's never enough.
It's he's like the opposite of Sally Field when she won her first Oscar. She said, they like me. They really like me. He's like, they don't like me. They really don't like me. I mean, no matter what he does, it doesn't matter. They're not going to like him. They're not going to respect him. And they're gonna stick it to him if they can.
With such a gifted orator, it's difficult to understand.
Well, sometimes charisma's not everything, as you know. It can't always carry the day. I mean,
you were making note of Karen Nagasaki, who he has praised earlier today.
Here's this Asian civil rights leader who he's trying to talk about, and he so badly butchers up her name that he calls her after the second place that we dropped an atomic bomb on Japan. I mean, it's like if Saturday Night Live did that, people would go, "Oh, come on, that's ridiculous, right?"
It's racy if they were
he would never do that. Like come on, don't make Biden seem senile. No. Saturday Night Live should just not do skits on him anymore. They should just do the real stuff. Just play the real stuff during the show.
Transcripts.
Yeah, here it is. Have somebody playing and reading directly from the Biden transcripts. And when he says Karen Nagasaki.
I mean, it's really something. You have now the Biden administration at the point where what would be a good Saturday Night Live skit is just a Monday morning.
Right.
That's just Monday morning around the White House now.
That's it. So, all right. So, obviously, we've got the gov in the House. We also wanted to start with Predicted as a sponsor of ours. So, I don't know, Governor, if you've played this yet.
Not yet.
Predicted makes markets in the political game, right? And it allows you to sort of wager who's going to win, who's going to lose. We've been having a blast with this because, I mean, look, we stay pretty plugged in on it. And
may or may not be a degenerate gambler.
As the guy who started sports gambling in every state in America, I'm all for it.
Hell yeah. That's right. You did.
Yeah.
You basically did.
That's Christie versus the NCAA, baby. That's what got us sports gambling. So let's go. Let's expand it.
So here we go, and it turns out, well, we've kind of been doing okay.
Been doing pretty well. I mean, so one market that I am in right now that's actually gotten a nice little bump is, will Trump announce in 2022? And I bought in at like 10 cents or something like that, and it's getting up there because he's talking about maybe doing some sort of 4th of July announcement or something like that. I mean, I felt pretty confident that he was going to announce.
What do you think? You think he's announcing in 2022?
I think the worse he does in these primaries, the more likely it is he'll announce.
He's going to have to do something.
Because everything with Trump is counterintuitive, right? So most people would say, I'm losing some of these contested primaries. Maybe I should give it a second thought about whether I should really run or not.
Opposite.
He's like, I've got to prove that it's not about me, it's about them. So the way to do that is to announce and show all of the great things I'll be able to accumulate in terms of support between them. I mean, I've known him for 21 years. That's the way the mind works.
That's the way well, look, so you're in this market. You've already said he's gonna do it?
Yeah, I mean, I bought in at 24 cents. It's up to 37 cents.
Look at you
right now.
Oh, he's a money maker.
Look at you.
I mean, this is a big deal.
I made $87.
Hey, look at you.
I feel pretty good.
Hey, let me ask you: Did Smug have David Perdue plus 54 points?
That was a hell of a win.
A rout.
Like,
I mean, what an ass beating that was.
I mean, I thought Kemp was going to win, and then the closer you got to it, like the campaign, I think the campaign put out that statement where they're like, "It's not going to be us losing by 30 points."
Right,
Come on, guys.
Yeah, no, we're going to lose. I mean, what a great message a week before the primary, where few people have voted already. They're like, look, we're going to lose. We know we're going to lose. I was down there the week before. I campaigned with Kemp for a full day, the Tuesday before the primary. And on Monday, I said, okay, well, let me see what Perdue's been saying over the weekend so I can be prepared for press questions and to say some things on Kemp's behalf. I scan out on the web. There was nothing from Perdue.
Nothing.
So I called Kemp's campaign manager and I said, I'm not finding what Perdue said this weekend. He goes, he did not do one event all weekend or put out a statement.
That's a bad sign.
Is he in the witness protection program? He's already been in the way. He's already, his name is now John Smith. And he's living
in Wyoming.
He's living outside Scottsdale, in some track homes. It's really great.
Well, that was it. And we had Kemp on the program right afterwards, and I thought he would do like a full victory lap. No, sir.
Oh, no.
No.
Let me tell you, he is focused.
Yeah.
I mean, focused. And, I said this to a few of the Perdue folks early on. I'm like, guys, you're working for a United States senator. You do not understand what a motivated and pissed off governor can do when you come after him. And Perdue.
Well, if anybody can speak to that.
Well, thank you. Let me just say I was a private advisor to Kemp on some of those things. But he, you saw the things he did, took Sonny Perdue out of the mix, made him the chancellor of the University of Georgia.
Beautiful.
Right, university system. $5,000 pay raise for every teacher in Georgia, right? Tax cut. I mean, all of these things he did between when Perdue announced and the primary. I just, the governor wants to do it. Don't challenge a sitting governor.
He cut off every path.
Well, and then, and not to mention, also, he was attacked by former President Donald Trump on, the election and all that stuff. And the first thing he does is pass an election law reform bill, right?
Yeah.
He goes at the hardest issue.
Well, and also, I think it benefited him somewhat that Democrats had a conniption fit about the whole thing.
Jim Crow 2.0.
Jim Crow 2.0. Yeah. And then they have record turnout.
Yeah. And I love, Stacey Abrams says, when I was down in Georgia, she said, let me just say this. Voter suppression has nothing to do with turnout. I can't wait to repeat that over and over again in the fall race.
That's right.
Remember, if your voters are suppressed, it doesn't mean that they won't turn out.
Right. It's amazing.
And she's simultaneously very concerned with voter integrity, and yet has never conceded her own election.
Right. What Trump does is completely reprehensible and a threat to our democracy. However, I'm not conceding, and neither is Hillary. And we discussed that again at dinner the other night when we were together. I mean, it's just crazy. But Kemp plus 54. If you had that,
I mean, that was
Kemp minus 54. You lose.
That was a massive win. And like Duncan brought up, passing that election integrity bill.
Right.
When Democrats spend a summer, Stacey Abrams even has ghost edited an opinion that she writes saying that we got to get the All-Star game out of town.
Yep.
and then a record number of voters show up.
Right.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Coca-Cola goes after him. Delta goes after him. The All-Star game leaves. And, but that's Kemp. Like, he decided, this is what I'm going to do. This is the path to victory. Hell with it. I'm going.
You got it done.
Keep going. And it's, that takes some guts.
It does.
Because there were a lot of people in his ear telling him to do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can
It's
imagine.
Like, I always explain to Holmes, like, being a senator is one thing. There's like 100.
Oh, here
Oh,
we go.
come on.
When
Yeah,
you're
here
a
we
governor
go.
and you got to run a state, you got to make these tough decisions.
Don't think this is altruistic. This is not an altruistic move.
I am
from him.
confident it's not, but it doesn't make me enjoy it a bit less. I won't say which one, but when Frank Lautenberg died, and I was governor, I was going to have to appoint a senator.
I remember this.
I got a call from a former governor who was a United States senator at that time. I won't say which one. And he was the second person who called me after Lautenberg died. Literally, second person to call me. The first one was someone who, of course, wanted to be the senator. The second one, where the body was not yet to the mausoleum, and they're making the call. But then this guy calls and he says, "Don't do it. For God's sake, don't appoint yourself. This is the worst job on earth. Don't leave the governorship to be a senator. Don't do it." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to." "No, I'm serious. There are going to be people to tell you to do it. Don't do it." I'm like, "All right, Jesus, okay, I won't do it."
That was a liar, sir. You should discontinue that relationship. It's misled you too long. So here are our big primaries on Tuesday. There's one in Nevada, which is extremely important. Because Adam Laxalt, who, full disclaimer, we've done some work with Adam, is probably the top recruit from Republicans this cycle nationwide. His primaries on Tuesday looks good. It's up 15 points or so. But immediately following that, he's got a poll lead against Catherine Cortez Masto in the last sort of blue state left standing for Democrats. And so, look, that's a very big one, right?
Right. Yeah, and if you would have thought about this right after the 2020 election, you're like, yeah, Nevada, that's a gettable seat. It's a battleground seat, but now it's firmly in the middle of the key races to win the cycle, right? We're gonna have a good year. But we got to keep working at it, obviously. But it's not just Nevada. There's also South Carolina.
Couple of big House races there.
Yeah, some Republican primaries that might be interesting. The Mace versus Arrington primary. I think Nancy Mace is going to pull that out.
She's the incumbent.
Yeah. Yeah,
See,
but
and Arrington was endorsed by President Trump, right?
Right.
Yep.
And she ran in 2018 and lost in the 2018 midterm.
So this is a rematch. Or there's a redistrict.
No, it's a redistrict.
Redistrict,
yeah. It's a redistrict.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that'd be an interesting one to watch there.
So there's a market, I'm sure, for that.
There is.
And I campaigned for Tom Rice and just did a TV commercial for him. So what's the market on that one?
I haven't gotten into any of the South Carolina stuff, in large part because I'm always baffled by how this thing. There's a bunch of different.
There's 500
elements.
races you got to keep track of.
Yeah, there's just a lot of different elements of because you have. Look, Trump blew out the competition in South Carolina, obviously. He's got a huge following there. But then you also have, Nikki Haley's, and you've got this, Tom Rice, perfect example of that. Nancy Mace she's come more to the libertarian side. So there's a bunch of different pieces of the Republican Party.
Mace is favored, according to Predict It, pretty handily. But Tom Rice trading down at 8 cents. 8 cents.
Really?
So, yeah.
Governor.
We'll see.
We going to get him over the finish line?
Well,
You've
I
done
don't
what
know now.
you've
I've done what I can.
Maybe it's a quality buy.
That's a
It
factor
could
in
be
the
a quality
TV
buy
ad.
at 8 cents.
We got to see how many points are on the TV ad. We'll see how the market moves as a result.
That's exactly right.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
That's exactly right. Exactly
I
right.
don't know how many points he's put behind it, but if he doesn't put enough, I'll just be like Trump. Well, it wasn't my fault.
There you go. So what we'll do is we'll tweet out again our Ruthless promo code again, so you can get your free $20.
Yeah, predictit.org/ruthless.
Predictit.org. It's that easy?
Yeah.
Well, I remember it being more difficult than that.
Is it?
I don't know. We're going to tweet.
Oh yeah,
it out.
no, you're right. It is. It is predictit.org/promo/ruthless20.
See, who's looking out for you?
I'm going to tell you something. Somebody was about to get screwed out there.
Yeah. If it wasn't,
Thanks a lot.
if it wasn't for Holmes, you'd be.
Thanks for standing up.
Yeah, I got you your $20.
Once again, for the people.
100% right. All right, so I wanted to start out with a little bit of an exercise with you, Governor, because this is, as we've talked before, you don't know what the future brings.
You never know.
And you may run for president again. You may not.
Right.
You may have a good thing going in your current career. You may not want to do anything at all. I would understand that if that was. But the one thing that we've come to grips with you in particular is if you're on that debate stage, somebody's got a problem.
Yeah.
Someone's going to pay a very dear price. And personally, this is, one of my favorite moments, I'm beyond just in politics, probably of my life, right? Full disclosure.
I know what's coming.
He has no children. So.
Full disclosure, folks in Florida, you should go ahead and vote for the Republican candidate who is in cycle. However,
yes, I would vote for Marco if I lived in Florida.
There was a tremendous moment during the 2016 presidential Republican debates where
he can't help himself.
I know. I have never seen. It was more horrific than like any of these like execution videos you can see on the internet. It's horrific. Just you and Marco on that debate stage. And you just dismantled this guy, just tore him apart from his very core of his being.
Yeah.
In front of live cameras.
Yep.
I've never seen anything like this.
Remorseless.
Welcome to New Jersey.
He just was not ready for this kind of like.
I'd been saying it for a week. So to make sure that we got the question, I'd been calling him the boy in the bubble and, poor Marco, his town halls are 3 scripted questions and then he runs away and all this stuff. So to make sure we were going to get the question, from the time we left Iowa till we got to New Hampshire, I was saying this. So I don't know how he was. Now, if you talk to his campaign guys, they will tell you they had him ready. And
he decided to
well,
take
that's some
a
great
different
campaign staff. They're like, it wasn't our fault. He's an idiot.
Well, I'm exactly right. That's what they did. They up at Harvard afterwards. They were like, not our fault, not our problem.
Well, we wanted to take just a handful of potential candidates and just sort of talk about like how you'd approach it. We're not asking you to attack anybody.
No,
but like Rand Paul. If he runs,
well, already did that.
But I just want to know.
Did that?
Have you amplified this at all?
Well, what more is there to say about Rand Paul? I would the next time. I think what I did wrong the first time was I spent too much time on Rand Paul. It was about 40 seconds of going after him.
On that?
Not both chambers, but a full chamber of right between the eyes thing, and in the end, Saturday Night Live made fun of it later because Rand Paul, I did something and Rand Paul went to interrupt, and Saturday Night Live, Wolf Blitzer says, "Excuse me, sir, this is not the time for audience questions." And Rand Paul goes, "I'm Rand Paul, I'm up here." So, that really taught me something. So I think if I were to go again, I would use the Saturday Night Live approach with Rand Paul, and if you were saying bad stuff about me, I would just act as if it hadn't even been said. I didn't even hear it.
You just bowl right through that.
So irrelevant that I don't even want to bother.
All right, so let's do a trickier one.
All right.
So this guy's a friend of yours, Mike Pence.
Well, I think the most appropriate thing to say would be to say, look, if it looks like you're better now, your neck was on a hinge for 4 years, and you're just nodding up and down from January 20th to January 6th of 2021. So I'm glad to see you're better.
This is the best.
It's a hell of an approach.
I can't believe how we get to do this show.
This is just like the best. It's literally so entertaining.
But I say that with the utmost respect.
Yeah, no. Clearly, you're a respectful man.
Of course.
Ted Cruz.
Well, look, during the 2016 race, the best thing I can say about Ted is Ted thought that Marco was cheating during the debates. He thought that Marco was like getting information during the debates from his staff somehow. So that'll just tell you all you need to know about Ted. Like after the way Marco performed in the debate, like Ted, you really think he's cheating to get that? So you just got to keep your eye on Ted. You never know where he's going to come
So you're
from.
going mind games on Ted.
Yes.
Like planning some things with the backstage crowd.
Get friendly with the makeup artists.
I like that.
That's what you really want to do.
I like that.
That was the approach to Carly Fiorina too, but we don't need to talk about that. She's probably not a candidate in the future.
Okay. Well,
so I wanted to ask a really tough one you've not faced before, and definitely probably going to be a candidate in the future. Governor Ron DeSantis.
Ooh.
It's going to take some time because I don't really know him. So
and he hangs out with your gov pal, so it's going to be tough to take a shot at him.
Which gov pal?
I feel like you have all gov pals.
I do, but
do
do my gov pals hang out with Ron DeSantis? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think Ron hangs out with anybody, from what I can tell. You know, like when I'm at the RGA meetings.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Ron's pretty much to himself.
Does his own thing.
With his entourage, and he doesn't really. I don't see him hanging with the other governors. But I'm gonna need some time on that one, Smug. I don't know him well enough. You got to know these guys a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, once you know them a little bit, then you know what really bothers them.
So you maybe take a couple of debates and just sort of feel that thing out.
Well, before the debates, you got to be ready once you get on the stage.
Yeah.
But he's going to be out, if he runs, he's going to be out there talking
Do you watch
about
tape?
stuff.
Do you watch tape?
Well, sure.
You do, don't you?
Of course you do.
I love
That's
it.
awesome.
Come on,
I love
Josh, you have to watch some tape.
I love it. It's like a quarterback in the film room.
That's right.
Like, you got to watch a little. I mean, you know, you don't want to do a lot, but you got to, you know, it's late at night. It's 1 a.m. You're at the Manchester Marriott. What do you think you're doing? I mean,
Debate tape's the most wholesome thing you can do with your time.
I mean,
you
I
got to
imagine
be safe.
You gotta be safe.
Safety first. Go to your room. You know, order a Domino's and, like, you know, just watch some tape.
Well, I doubt it's every
Don't get out.
candidate. I bet you're in the lobby. You could see like Rubio's there with the coloring book, and that's how he preps for these kind of
Just
events.
can't get enough.
That's outrageous. I've never seen him with a coloring book. That's outrageous.
Thank you for defending his honor.
Damn right,
Governor. That's
my friend.
Hawley, Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri.
Look, if I have to do anything, I've failed. That's really it. I mean, like, all you have to do is, like, just hold up the picture of him on January 6th, right? Just like, he says something bad about me or my record in New Jersey, whatever. I just go, Governor Christie, your response, you just go.
You just hold the picture up?
Just hold the picture up.
That's what you got.
See, for me, I have a theory that it's really difficult for like a senator to run for president as opposed to like a governor.
This is just unbelievable.
No, but I mean,
he's really earning his paycheck.
The thing is
Yeah.
that like it's you're an executive, right? The
Right.
president's an executive. A governor's an executive. So you kind of build up the kind of tools, and I think it's the same reason that Trump was able to win. It's the executive.
Right.
You build up the tools. You're accountable for
Don't go
people.
too far
You
now.
got to get
Easy.
these.
Okay? Easy. I watched a lot of that. I didn't see a lot of executive stuff going on. Just go easy, Smug. I'm with you, but let's just don't go too far out over your skis.
So here's the last name I've got for you, and I'm pretty sure he's not running for president, but I got to get your reaction.
Yeah.
I have to.
All right.
Rudy.
It's so sad because, when I ran in 2009, he was the only out-of-state person that I allowed to come in and campaign for me. And the Rudy from back then to the Rudy now, I don't recognize him. I mean,
He was a superstar.
Look, he was America's mayor. Even after he lost the presidential race, I still think there was a certain prestige to Rudy Giuliani about what he had done and what he represented. And I can't tell you, I'm just sad.
Yeah.
I'm sad over it. And I saw it today. When Jason Miller's out there saying you were drunk on election night. I mean, that was the testimony today. Like,
That's
who was inebriated in the White House on election night? And Jason Miller with his N95 mask on, just going, Rudy Giuliani. Yes, he was definitely inebriated. And for him to have gone from where he was to that. And the appearance outside the Four Seasons, landscaping,
the hair dye running down his face.
all that stuff. I mean, it's sad. I feel bad for him. I really do. And I don't know what happened to him, but I think in the end, if Rudy were up on the stage, that's one of those where it's kind of the advice like I gave to Trump, and you could tell how much he listened to my advice this time before the first debate with Biden. After we get done with 4 days of debate prep, and I go to leave to head back up to ABC to do commentary for that night, I'm walking outside the White House going to my car, and a staff person comes out and says, "President wants to see you one more time. You got to come back in." So I go back upstairs. I go into the Oval Office, and it's just me and the president. And he says, "All right, you coached me in 2016. I won those debates. Tonight's the first one with Biden. I heard everything you've said to me, but one bit of advice, just give me one that you want me to make sure I remember."
Swing thought.
And I looked at him and I said, "Let Biden talk, because if you let him talk, he'll hang himself." And he gave me the thumbs up and walked out, and then went on to interrupt him 79 times in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So, when I think about, the advice that you give to people, and then Rudy was advising the president to be much more aggressive in the debates and whatever, and what it turns out to be, I feel badly because Rudy was a guy who I have tremendous respect for, but I don't recognize him.
No,
I don't recognize him.
And the optics of that debate were so. It wasn't just that he was interrupting him. It was like it looked like elder abuse. Like Biden didn't look good, but because he kept interrupting Biden, you almost felt bad for Biden.
Yeah.
Totally.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Shut up, man.
Yeah.
I like, look, the Biden stuff's just so hard. Like, I played Biden in debate prep for days and days and days.
Which is amazing.
Which was just so much fun. And Trump kept interrupting, going, he'll never be that good. He won't say anything like that. Ease off a little bit. Like, no, my job is not to ease off. It's like when I hit you really hard with this stuff, then when you go on the stage, you'll think it's easy. And he's like, he'll never say stuff like that. It's Biden, for God's sake.
So other than getting COVID and basically almost taking out the entire senior staff at the White House during those prep sessions, like, what's the craziest thing that happened in those things?
It was Mark Meadows doing everything he could to keep Rudy Giuliani out of the room.
So he's just like...
So it was like the first day, at some point in the first day, because it was the same day as the Amy Coney Barrett announcement. So Rudy was going to be at that. So at some point, Rudy wanders into the map room, and all he wants to talk about is Hunter Biden. I've got evidence, the laptop, this, he's, all turned out to be right, but completely irrelevant for the moment. Like, no one was going to understand it at that point. The story was so new that it couldn't have dug in.
You can't introduce all of this into a debate.
From a presidential debate.
2-minute answers and 1-minute responses.
Right.
Like, forget it. You can't do it. We're telling them no. And so Meadows had wandered in at one point, and he looked at me afterwards and he goes, I know, Rudy won't be here tomorrow. Okay. So the next day, Rudy wasn't there. He came, but he couldn't get in the White House.
Couldn't get in the room?
They couldn't get in the building.
Really?
Yeah, he went to the gate. They're like,
because practically anybody could get at the building.
You're not on the list. You're not on a list for a pass. And because I saw Rudy later that night, and he was like, "You kept me out of the debate prep." I said, "I don't make the list for who comes in the White House, who doesn't." I said, "Talk to the chief of staff."
Meanwhile, the Overstock.com guy's sitting on the couch.
Meanwhile, the My Pillow guy is like pouring Diet Cokes. So it was just watching Meadows go back and forth trying to dodge Rudy out of the White House. Rudy would call somebody else, and his son worked there, and so he would call somebody and somebody would get him a pass, they'd get in, and then all of a sudden he's wandering around and
trying to find the room.
Which room are you in? And there was a lot of crazy stuff of the staff trying to figure out what was going on. But always with the president, there was always, he would just say some of the wildest stuff. And, you try to see if it was responsive or not. Like, there was one moment where he was going after Hunter Biden as a complete non sequitur to whatever. The way it worked was Kellyanne was the questioner. She was asking the questions. He would answer, I would answer, and we'd go back and forth. And that's the way it worked. And the rest of them, Hope, Stepien, Jason Miller, Stephen Miller, would just sit there and watch. They'd take notes, and then when we take a break, they'd give some ideas about what they thought. And that's pretty much the way we ran it. So Kellyanne asked a question about, I can't even remember what, but it had nothing to do with Hunter Biden. And Trump gave, like 15 seconds on whatever the answer was. And then he said, but, he's pointing over at me and he said, your son's a criminal and you're taking money and, dirty money, and he's making money, he's sharing the money with you. The entire family is da-da-da. And so, I let him do that once, and I didn't really respond directly. And then there was another time he did it again later, and I'm like, okay, I have to teach him a lesson now. So I said, I usually, like, as I'm speaking as Joe Biden now, I said, I like to give families the benefit of the doubt, and I like to keep families out of this election. This election is between me and you, Mr. President. It doesn't involve our family. But since you brought up my son twice now, I think it's really ironic that you would bring up family. When your son-in-law and daughter made $46 million last year while they were working in the White House. And if you want to try to tell us that had nothing to do with them leveraging their influence in the White House to be able to make that kind of money, you want to clean up a family, clean up your own first before you start talking about mine.
How do you like that?
How do you think he liked it?
I bet that one caused
He looked
problem.
at me and he used a horrible, I know I can use it on this, but I'm not going to.
Well, you're sensible.
A horrible expletive.
That's the funniest thing about doing debate prep, and we did one recently, Holmes. But it's sort of like roasting your friend. Like, it's very awkward.
Yeah.
It's like you have to use the worst things that you are saying about your own candidate to their face.
Yeah. And smack them. And he said it right to me, and I said, was that for me or for Joe Biden? And he looked at me and he goes, both. Both.
It's a
And
good
he got
answer.
up and he stormed out of the map room. Just
Really?
left.
Oh.
And we had to go back and get him to come back.
That's a great story.
Yeah, so that was
is
kind of crazy. And Kellyanne turned to me. She said, "Very effective." Thank you.
Look, if you're not preparing them with the worst, you're doing them a disservice. you
No,
know?
Totally, right?
Totally. And that was like in 2016 when he it was the prep right after Access Hollywood. So like remember, Access Hollywood weekend, we got that news while we were in the middle of debate prep. Because it was the Friday before the Sunday debate.
That's right.
And so all of a sudden, like, people are leaving the room. And in the end, the only people left in the room at Trump Tower were me, Trump, and Reince Priebus. And Priebus is the questioner at that time, and I'm playing Hillary. Close your eyes, smug, and think about that. Me as Hillary. Keep them closed.
It's easier than you think.
No, and so all of a sudden all these people are gone, and then Hope Hicks comes back in, and she hands Trump two pieces of paper stapled together, and hands one to me. I think you both need to read this, and it was the transcript of the Access Hollywood tape. Oh, and Trump's looking at me and he goes, "This doesn't sound like me. I mean, I don't think this is me. Does this sound like me?" He looks at me and I'm like, well, and in the end, he decides on his answer, as you all remember, which is, I apologize if I offended anybody. I said, can we get rid of if? I think this is probably the best political layup of all time, that someone was offended by that. I don't think we have to put if. I don't think people are going to go, I wasn't offended. What are you talking about? Perfect, great. And the entire country goes 100% not offended. I said, I think we can get rid of the if, but he didn't want to get rid of the if. And then he immediately pivoted into, but Bill Clinton was an abuser of women.
Yeah.
And she was an enabler. So she victimized these women.
Yeah.
And believe me, I know, because he told me the stories while I was playing golf with him. He went into this whole answer. And he said, so she, with who she's married to, shouldn't be talking about this stuff. And that's his answer. And so we break, and I say to him, look, I wouldn't do that. Like, don't do the pivot. Just do the I'm sorry thing, and I'm not the same person, and that. And it's because we want to end the subject. We don't want to keep the subject going. And if she just apologizes, what's she going to say? Like, your apology isn't any good. Then she looks petty. Let's just end it at that. No.
It's not the way he rolls.
He's doing it. So we go through it again, and he does it again. And so I look at him and I say, Donald, I like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but I can't give the benefit of the doubt on this. And you don't respect women. I know you don't respect women, and you wouldn't respect women as president. I said, but since you brought up my marriage, I think I have to address it, because I think everybody in this audience knows that I've obviously had trouble in my marriage, and that my husband and I have caused each other pain in our marriage, and we've admitted that. But I stand here tonight as a proud wife and a proud mother and a proud grandmother. And the reason I can do that is, unlike you, I don't treat my spouses like they're disposable.
Oh, you said that in the debate prep?
Yeah.
Ooh. Did you get another fuck you?
I did. And he's like, she'll never say that. And I'm like, she could, like I would, like you're talking about, like, what would you say? Well, I would have said that. Like, come on. And so those are the interesting parts about debate prep. Like, is that there's this dynamic that you talked about,
right,
that, you've got to go hard after somebody that you've known for a long time and actually have a good relationship with. But you're not doing your job if you don't do that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And after that second debate, he called me 10 minutes after the debate was over, and he said to me, amazing, you're the best. She was nothing. Because she was nothing. He goes, I was standing up on the stage going, Chris's answer was better than that.
Yeah.
Chris's answer was better than that. This is nothing.
Oh, he rolled her.
It's like swinging.
He rolled her.
It's
He
like
rolled her in the
swinging.
second debate.
It's like swinging with a couple of bats.
That's right.
You
get
want
the donut on.
Right.
Set one down, all of a sudden you're free swinging.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
The second one is the one where he was like, because then you'd be in jail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just an all-timer.
That was an all-timer.
Yeah, he's like, I'd put you in jail. Yeah, he just absolutely smoked her in the second debate, and the first debate was horrible, and that was one where Jared called me after the first debate and said, "What do you think?" It's like immediately afterwards, and I said, "He lost.
Not great.
He got smoked." And he goes, "He thinks he won." I said, "Well, of course he thinks he won." I said, "But he didn't win." He goes, "Well, he won't listen to anybody on this stuff but you. Like, you need to call him and tell him."
Great. You're like, thank you for the opportunity.
What a great job.
Right. Isn't that great to be the son-in-law? You should tell him, and I'm going to go and play with his grandchildren. Which I gave him. Right? Oh, excellent. Thank you. And so it's fair. So I call him, and he says to me, it was a typical ridiculous Trump line. He said, what do you think? I said, you lost. I didn't lose. I won. I go, no, Donald, you lost. And I said, we got work to do. You because we hadn't done real prep before that. And I said, we've got work to do. That was not good. Not good. I said, you're going to see the results are bad. Because I already looked. 91% of the people on Drudge say I won. And I said, well, shit, 100% of the people on Drudge are voting for you. Yeah. I said, that means you lost 9% of the people who are voting for you. What are you talking about? 91% of Drudge. Wait, that's what you're going to look at? But he said, you're too hard on me. And he hung up on me. And my wife's in the car with me. She goes, well, that went well.
You're like you haven't seen the half of it.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, to be in those rooms. And as you mentioned, along with that, I got COVID.
Yeah. I mean, literally, the worst kind, too. You got the OG version.
I got the OG version, pre-vaccine, any type of treatments.
Yeah.
7 days in the ICU. It was no fun.
Not good.
It was no fun. And he called me during it. When he was in Walter Reed and I my first night in the hospital, he called. And he
How's
said,
the food over there?
he said, how you doing? I said, not good. This is not good. He goes, and he sounded awful. And he's like, yeah. Can you believe two tough guys like me and you got this thing? We're so tough. How could we have gotten this thing? I said, I don't know, but we obviously haven't. And then he says to me, you're not going to tell anybody I gave it to you, are you? And I said to him, well, I have no idea who's patient zero. I said, but 6 of the 7 of us in the room have it. I said, but I don't know who gave it to me. Yeah, I know, but you're not going to say I did. And I said, well, no, Mr. President.
You're like, I'm just hoping to get out of here.
I said, why would I ever say that? Like, I don't know. The amazing thing about him is he knew. He knew. But none of us found out till Meadows' book came out. But he tested positive on Saturday morning.
Yeah, he'd already gotten
He popped a positive test on Saturday morning and then went in the room with all 6 of us and never told us a thing.
Oh.
Never told us a thing. Like, and when he asked me, I was like, why the hell is he asking me this? Like, beside his normal vanity, like, why is he asking me this? It took almost more than a year to really find out definitively. But here's the worst part of him. The worst part of him is, after he goes back on the campaign trail, 3 reporters call me after he does his first off the record with them on Air Force One, first campaign trip, and separately call me. 3 different reporters within 20 minutes of each other after they landed. They said, you're not going to believe this. And I said, what? He goes, he just told all of us, the entire press corps, that you gave him COVID.
Get out of here.
Yep.
Get out of here.
Oh, yeah. Now, he knows he gave it to me. He knows it. Because he popped a positive test on Saturday morning. I didn't get sick till the next Friday. What is it, like elephant incubation? I mean, like, come on. Like, are you kidding? And he had it by Wednesday. Probably had it, had the symptoms bad enough to go to the hospital by Wednesday.
Did it ever get printed that he was accusing you of doing this? Or
I don't think it ever got printed.
Yeah, because I don't remember that being reported.
No, it never got printed.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Accused me of it. He goes, Christie, he was sitting right across from me in the table, spitting at me and everything. That's how I got it. I'm like, seriously? Wait a second. You got sick before me. You had symptoms before me. I gave it to you.
The whole staff.
I'm no doctor.
The whole staff.
Yeah. Everybody.
I love that he calls you and then he preempts any possibility that you'd accuse him with his own accusation.
Yeah.
God,
no, I mean,
beautiful.
The entire thing was just surreal. The entire thing was completely surreal. And contrast his wife, who every day I was in the hospital called me.
Did she really?
Every day.
I've heard that from everybody, that she's a very sweet person.
She's an amazing person.
Yeah.
And every day she called me, and after she called me, she called my wife to say, is there anything you guys need? Is there anything the White House doctors can do for him? Do you want us to consult with them? What do you want us to do? We want to help Chris any way we can. And he calls me once and asks me if I'm going to tell people that he gave it to me, because he did, even though I didn't know it. And it's classic. And you're right. Like, then he preempts the whole thing by saying, no, Christie gave it to me. absolutely right. Perfect.
I love it.
Perfect.
All right, so one of the things we love to do on the Ruthless Variety program, and I'm interested to get you to weigh in on this, we cover a fair amount of animal fighting.
Yes.
I don't know if you
Yes, I do. I know that.
There's an interesting story that's popped out of India about an elephant in eastern India that it killed a woman. It basically, and let me just read right, this is from the Independent. Maya Murmu was at a tube well drawing water in this village when a wild elephant appeared out of nowhere. Authorities say it had strayed off of the Dalma Wildlife Sanctuary nearly 200 kilometers away. After being trampled, she was taken to the hospital. She later died of her injuries. Here's where it gets weird. The elephant, the same exact elephant, showed up a few days later at her funeral to trample the coffin.
No, come on. Wait. Is this the Inquirer or the Independent?
It's very real. Is the Independent, right? Reports said that when family members gathered for the funeral and were in the middle of performing last rites, the same elephant appeared, lifted Miss Murmu's body from the funeral pyre, and trampled it again.
Can you imagine?
Disgruntled boyfriends? What are we talking about?
Shocked mourners looked on. So, look, that's a wild story, right?
It's a wild elephant.
And it's a wild elephant.
I mean, I hear this and I'm like, what did she really do? Because this is a really pissed off.
And elephants have a good memory.
That's what they say. Elephants never forget.
True.
There's like a reason for this vendetta.
Yes, this. Did the elephant still have its tusks?
Oh.
Let's look. Hold on. I think there's
is there a mug shot of the elephant?
I believe there is. There's in fact like a battered.
I think the image is that the same one. It looks like it's got tusks.
It does have tusks.
All right, that takes. I thought maybe she took his tusks.
She detusked.
Detusked him, and then maybe that is what got him pissed off. And by the way, we're assuming it's a him. Do we know for sure?
They don't have a gender. They don't have a gender. I mean, this could be one of a million things now.
It could be a lesbian elephant attack.
Also, does this get you kicked off the wildlife sanctuary? This sort of behavior, or do you think
is that where the elephant was?
Yeah, you think this elephant goes right back?
Yeah, that's what it says. It had to go 200 kilometers away from the sanctuary to show up.
Yeah, it sought her out. She
did something a while back, and he had a vow. He was like, "I will avenge this wrongdoing." Because that is intense.
But wait a second, killing her the first time didn't avenge it enough.
He shows up. He's like, gotta make sure. Gotta make sure the job is done. I mean, it's a thorough elephant.
Maybe he's got to. You know what this sounds like? This sounds like kind of a mafia thing.
Yeah. It does.
Right? Like, it's not good enough just to kill him. You have to set an example for the other people.
That's right.
This is what's going to happen to you.
Right.
But we don't know what the fill in the
blank is.
If you don't
properly respect the elephants, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, look, we've been following Hank the Tank, which is a big bear out west. It is galvanized the bear population against many communities out west and is running an organized crime outfit. Perhaps the elephants are a syndicate.
Well, unlike others here, I would never besmirch the Italian American community and say there's a mafia or something like that.
Very true.
It's thoughtful, particularly when we're talking about elephants with you. It's there. You preempted. No,
are you a patsy to the elephant mafia? Is that what it is? How much are they paying you?
Big elephants pay me top dollar for that.
But so now we've talked about this in terms of what's the biggest animal that you think you can take out? Smug.
Horse for me.
I think very, very unwisely selected a horse.
Yeah, I don't think I could.
I don't think we could. I know I couldn't take it.
If a horse wanted to take me out, it's taking me out.
Right, like a kick, right? And one kick and you're pretty much donezo.
Yeah.
And we all have our answers. Do you have an answer for this? What's the biggest animal you think you could take out?
I think dog. That's it.
That's it?
I don't...
Like a donkey. You could take out a donkey.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I'm not sure I can take out a donkey. It depends on where you are.
Oh yeah, if you're on a home footing of a donkey.
Yeah, if it's a home field game for the donkey, I'm in trouble. I think, Smug, you're way overestimating your abilities. You could take out a horse. I mean, who do you think you are, Alex Karras from Blazing Saddles?
You've taken out donkeys in New Jersey on their home turf.
I have. We're not talking about we're certainly not talking about the symbol. We're talking about the actual donkey, which I don't. I think dog.
Yeah, like maybe a wolf.
No, those are enormous. I mean, I would never try to take one.
Well, it's a dog-like.
It's
creature.
a dog-like creature. I think I might be able to take out a wolf.
Like if you get just one good shot on the snout, I feel like you're operating on.
You got to go for
offensive.
the kick.
Yeah.
You got to go for the kick in the side of the head. You know, make them a little bit,
dizzy.
Yeah.
And then get the fuck out of there. Yeah. As quickly as possible.
That is.
You just want to get them dizzy and get away.
That's right.
You want a long fight on this. But I keep thinking of the animal mountain lion. No chance.
No,
I'm gone.
Oh yeah, you can't get those.
No chance. I'm done. That's gonna take me out. I'm from New Jersey, but unless armed, it's not gonna happen.
Right.
If we're talking about just fists, right? We're not talking about any weapons.
Yeah, this is why we have our Second Amendment rights.
Dog.
Okay.
Dog, that's it. I mean, beyond that, I don't think I could do it.
All right.
I love imagining the reporters listening to the show. They get their news of like, okay, what was debate prep like? Or do I report on he thinks he could take a wolf? That's kind of newsworthy.
I mean, they're both newsworthy.
They both are newsworthy. I mean, I can take out a wolf.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Sure. I'm proud of it.
Let's get to a couple of serious items.
That wasn't.
Actually, you raise a fair point.
I mean, the woman's dead, and now she's trampled on. Right. But she was. He actually took her out of the funeral pyre. Had they lit it yet?
I don't think
it appears unlit because I think there would have been a flame incident there.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is the elephant that angry?
That's a good point.
He walked into fire.
You'd have to be
like she's being burned, and the elephant goes, "Not good enough. Not good enough." So I'm glad to hear that there wasn't that level of venom with the elephant.
We're gonna have to do some follow up.
There has to be some follow up. I think there should be some original reporting on this.
We'll get our people.
Make Smug go out there and interview the elephant.
Find out what's happening there.
I think so. Well,
you can start and say, by the way, let me just tell you before you try anything, I could take a horse. Just to let him know what the parameters are of who he's dealing with. You don't want to. Yeah, you don't want him to underestimate you.
You don't want to provoke this thing either, though.
No,
that doesn't look
true.
like. All right, so look, there's a whole bunch of atmospherics that are happening in D.C. with Jan 6 and all this nonsense. But the one thing that the Biden administration is now finally a year and a half wrapped its mind around is its key problem is inflation, right? Amazing that it's taken a year and a half to get to this point, right? Every single economic indicator.
It was only going to be brief and
it's
episodic.
Transitory.
Transitory.
Yeah. But listen to this. Stunning inflation stat from NBC's Charlie Herman. According to Moody's Analytics, compared to a year ago, American households are paying $460 more per month to buy the same amount of goods and services.
Yeah, I saw that. It's incredible. And I'll give you an example. I serve on the board of a supermarket company that own a lot of supermarkets. The cost of turkey has gone up 115%.
Yeah.
Turkey. Why? But it's everything. It's everywhere, and they screw this thing up in an enormous way. And look, if it wasn't that Joe Manchin, it keeps in decent shape, we'd be at 15% inflation if they had spent that additional $4 or $5 trillion they wanted to spend. And
they're still trying.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
AOC. I'm sure she'd be for it tomorrow.
I mean, but here's what gets us. Is that you've got the press corps last week or 2 weeks ago, they started this mission, and it's carried on through and continuing on through to try to create this situation where Biden has no agency whatsoever over this. So he's been underserved by economic staff, or the White House doesn't quite get his messaging, or all of these things are just sort of happening to Joe. Poor Joe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, now it's not just Joe. Now I saw this morning from Bloomberg. This is a tweet from Bloomberg. Fed Chair Jerome Powell is facing an increasingly grim calculus. He probably has to push the economy into recession in order to regain control of prices. I mean,
probably,
and it's okay, but who caused the recession?
Who caused the wild inflation, which is forcing the Fed to raise rates? I mean, you think about it. We went a decade and a half without any meaningful inflation.
Yep.
A decade and a half.
Yeah.
It's just coincidence that Joe Biden showed up, spent another $1.9 trillion on top of the $5 trillion, $6 trillion we had spent already, and he went, why are you looking at me?
Right.
I mean, guess what? You did it, you idiot. And Larry Summers, who, I'm not going to summer camp with this year, but even Larry Summers got it. He's like, you do this, There's going to be crazy inflation. I mean, he can't. He's trying to do it, trying to blame it on Putin.
Yeah,
I said this to my wife yesterday. I'm like, he was talking yesterday again about, can you believe what Vladimir Putin has done to our economy? And I'm like,
oh yeah, that was the big press conference he was doing
in LA.
Oh, but Putin's tax hike is what he's calling it. Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, Putin's tax. I looked at my wife and I said, Putin must be sitting in Moscow going, I got enough problems. The Ukrainians are kicking my ass. I'm getting old. I'm trying to hide my wives and all my children. Yeah. And now I'm responsible for inflation in America? Bullshit. I'm not dealing with this.
All I did is buy a couple $100,000 of Facebook ads.
And this is what I wind up with.
I mean, but listen to how the AP frames what you just are talking about. The Port of Los Angeles is a testament to President Joe Biden's unrewarded efforts to address what he calls his top economic priority, inflation. Biden will speak at the port, America's busiest, on Friday.
Unrewarded.
We
have now failed Joe Biden.
We've made the turn. It's not just the poor old Joe, the world's happening to him. It's like, now you just don't appreciate Joe.
You don't appreciate all he's done for us. It really is true, and there are going to be more ungrateful Americans in November sticking it in his ear. Like, by the way, you think we didn't appreciate it back in June? Wait till you see how little we appreciate it in November.
We've got a lot of underappreciation to express.
That's exactly right. We're going to express it in every one of these swing districts. Thank you very much.
So, but you've had to deal with, look, you dealt with a blue state, right?
Yep.
And there's a lot of different politics that goes on in states, swing states, whatever. Energy politics is always a part of that, right? These guys have failed so spectacularly with energy politics that we're now averaging over $5 a gallon for the first time ever, right? They come into office, he gets rid of the Keystone Pipeline, gets rid of federal land contracts. No permitting, and then throws up his hands and is like, well, it's, again, transitory. Like we're getting to a new energy.
I love when people act surprised that politicians, because politicians have such a bad rap about not telling the truth. He actually told the truth.
Yeah.
Like, you remember him back in those debates.
Right.
No more oil drilling. No more gas drilling. No, we're not doing any more. And people were like, well, he doesn't really mean that. No.
Yeah, he meant every word.
He meant it. And you look at North Dakota is the best example. The day Biden comes into office, they're producing 1.5 million barrels a day. Today, it's 1 million. And you ask the governor of North Dakota, he'll tell you it's all because, not leases, they all have the leases, but they don't have the permits from them to take the oil or natural gas out from underground to ground.
Unreal.
So you can't do it. So what they do is Jen Psaki, leader of the Communist Party in America, when she was out there, you want to talk about disinformation. They could pick on our old friend Sean Spicer as much as they want. Some of the crap she was saying was just, well, we have not canceled leases. And I'd sit there and say, well, of course, no one's accusing you of that, you dope. They have the leases, but the leases mean nothing if you don't have the permits to be able to bring the gas and oil up. The answers they give are incredible in terms of trying to avoid responsibility. But, people get it.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, when we lose 500,000 barrels in North Dakota, he bought it from Russia.
Yep.
Right. That's the most important part.
Right? He buys it from Russia. It's not like we're not using it. It's like we're using it, but now we'll get it from Russia. He'll go talk to Venezuela, and they'll get on his knee and go see the Saudis.
Yeah, isn't that he's doing that this week, right?
Yeah.
He's going to go over there and beg.
Well, he simultaneously in a press conference confirmed and then unconfirmed his own appearance. Did you see this?
It's not yet confirmed.
Yeah, no. He said. They said, "Well, have you made the pledge? Are you going?" And he was like, "Not yet." And then 2 sentences later, he's like, "Well, the reason I'm going is."
Yes, and then they send out some new guy who's a new spokesperson within the White House, some retired general who's now, and he says, "Well, a meeting can be agreed to, but not yet be set." And I'm like, do you think we give a crap? Like, is he gonna sit with MBS or isn't he?
Right.
What's the deal? But the thing that makes me crazy is they're doing all this for the environment, right? Yet there's no EPA in Russia. I'm pretty confident.
Real confident.
And no EPA in Saudi Arabia, right? So a barrel of oil from Saudi Arabia or Russia is so much dirtier in terms of what it does to the environment than a barrel of oil from North Dakota, which has to meet all these EPA standards. So even if your number one problem was the environment, you'd still want American oil and American
You'd
natural
still
gas.
want it. You'd still want it.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Not the least of which is the issue that if you believe, which I don't believe that they actually think this, but if you believe that Russia is having impact on our own economy, why give them the leverage to do so?
Yep.
Why give them we have the option, you know?
And you see, I saw a story this weekend that in California now they're asking people not to charge their electric vehicles because it's putting too much strain on the grid. Well, of course it is. I mean, and now they want everybody to have electric vehicles. The fact is, if everybody had electric vehicles, that they wanted to have electric vehicles, the entire grid would crash in the country because there's too much of a drain on what we have. Because don't use natural gas to power those. Like, it was great. I saw a woman in California for Ford talking about how great electric vehicles are for the environment. And the guy asked her, well, where does the electricity come from? And she said, from the electric plant. And they're like, yeah, but what do they use at the plant to power that? And she said, I think coal. They're like, excellent, very good, very clean, way to go.
You've come a long way, man.
Yeah, it's really excellent. It's really, really excellent. I see this stuff and it just drives me insane. Like, it's nuts.
It's totally crazy. But they're trying to get out from underneath this thing.
See,
right?
I think it's a central problem right now for the left is their ideology. A lot of this is coming from like universities and just, you know, these elites who kind of want to absolve themselves and feel good about themselves because they think it's evil to be rich. So they're like, how can I absolve myself? I'll try to save the planet, right? And how am I going to do that? I'm going to buy a Tesla and I'm going to punish people by making them pay more for gas. That's got to be a nice thing I can do, right? Like, it's a very twisted ideology that they feel bad about being rich, so they want to punish poor people. It's really strange.
Yeah, it's kind of the way that they work, though.
It is.
So part of what has happened over the last 2 weeks in an effort to try to excuse the president from all of this is to talk about his frustration, right? Oh, he's also frustrated by all of this stuff. And what's happened is, like, New York Times and Washington Post have actually done some real journalism over the last couple of weeks. Now, where it comes from, I don't know, right? I mean, they got like there's some sort of like
independent contractors.
I mean, there's something. But this one killed me. This is the Washington Post. Inside Biden's frustration with soaring prices, Biden vented to aides after an ethanol announcement designed to ease gas prices, questioning the policy's effectiveness. I got to read you this lead. This is a perfect example of what the Biden White House must look like on a day-to-day basis. President Biden seemed upbeat when he visited an Iowa biofuels plant in April to talk about bringing down gas prices. Standing before a large tractor as he declared that biofuels have a role to play right now and announced a plan to expand the use of ethanol over the summer. But privately, Biden dismissed the policy as ineffective and questioned the value of the trip, according to two people familiar with the conversations. After returning to the White House, he hauled his senior staff, including Ron Klain, who's like he's the guy that's wearing all this like a hat, including
as well he should,
including Ron Klain, into the Oval Office, badgering him with questions about the purpose of this event. I mean, it's just like.
So Biden gets all
by any of this. Remember who Ron Klain is, right?
Yeah, oh yeah,
right.
I mean, the guy who ran the Al Gore recount effort.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you. We'll take your ticket at the door. It's time for you to go. Go away, Ron Klain, and he's basically running the country.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to another point I make is that you had a situation in 2000. When Republicans wanted to fight for an election outcome in Florida, and who did they send? They send what's his name? Jim
Baker.
Jim Baker.
Yeah.
They sent all the top flight
and
folks.
Ginsburg and the rest of them.
You know, just it's a murderer's row of people
Ted
down
Olson.
there, right?
Yeah, Ted Olson.
And this time it's like, okay, we got some real conspiracy theorists that are out there, and we got Rudy,
Jenna Ellis,
of the Four Seasons,
Sidney Powell.
Yeah,
what was the dude's name? What was the guy? The Georgia guy, what was his name?
Oh yeah,
he was the wildest of them all.
He ran for something then.
Yeah, he ran like a chair of the party. It didn't work out for him. It turns out.
Now that's when I got in real trouble with Trump, because in like December of 20, on ABC one Sunday, I said his legal team is a national embarrassment. And talking about Jenna Ellis and Sidney Powell and Rudy. And I'm in the car on the way back from New York after the show, and phone rings, and it's him. It's the president. And he's like, what the hell are you doing calling my legal team a national embarrassment? I'm like, well, they are. I mean, like, come on. He goes, well, if you don't think I have good lawyers, why don't I have good lawyers? And I said, 2 reasons, sir. I said, first of all, good lawyers don't take crap cases, and this is a crap case. I said, and second, you don't pay your lawyers, so nobody wants to work for you. He goes, oh, yeah, you're right about that.
Oh, my God. Fair point.
Linwood.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Excellent
it.
research.
I think
Linwood, another
Dominion Voting Machines is probably still sorting through his
his panty drawer.
His panty drawer.
those. I can't wait for those trials.
Oh man,
the Dominion Voting Machine trials are going to be epic.
I mean,
epic because everybody's in trouble.
Do they even go to trial? I mean, is this like a?
Well, look with the people they're suing.
Yeah, they can't settle.
They can't settle.
Right.
They're going to have to go to trial. It's going to make Johnny Depp and Amber Heard for the Us Weekly guys. What that was is going to be for us. Yeah. The Dominion Voting Machine. It's going to be like we're going to be like the people outside the courthouse, screaming, "Yeah, come on!" Waiting in line at 4 a.m. to get into the courtroom to see, what are they going to say today about the Dominion Voting Machines? And oh, here comes Brett Baer. Who's the next witness who's coming in? I mean, it's going to be just crazy.
It will be wild.
Crazy.
It will be totally wild.
I had some friend of mine who said, those Dominion Voting Machines, they were all rigged in Georgia. That's why he lost. And I said, they did a hand recount twice afterwards that came up with basically the same numbers. And he goes, yeah, but the machine rigged the ballots. I go, no. The machine reads the ballots. They don't fill out the ballots. When you count them by hand, then they're counting them by hand.
There's not a pencil inside the machine that's
right.
filling out the ballot.
And he looks at me, my friend, this is a smart guy. He looks at me and he goes, all right, if you say so, but Trump says it was rigged. And I'm like,
oh, that's the problem.
And again, I have to go. So a very important reason why governors are so key is
here we go.
They can control. They can help make sure we got fair voting laws during that summer before elections, when a lot of these states start passing their like insane COVID rules of like you can send a ballot and it will be counted, however many days later. Yeah. That's the importance of electing a strong governor in a state to make sure that doesn't
Thank you
happen.
for that, Smug. That's a nice public service
very
announcement.
Well. Just gotta say.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Appreciate that.
Very, very,
Who do we invoice for that?
I think there could be any number of people you can invoice for. The good news is you could do multiple invoices. Given the listenership you have now, it's really
sky's the limit.
It really is. Sky's the limit. I can suggest at least 4. Invoice with no problem, who would pay it without even questioning it.
We'll take notes after the show. I got one more piece that we actually. Let me see if we can get this one quickly. Did you follow the Washington Post drama last week? I mean, you're kind of in the
just
media.
Just a little, a little bit.
I mean,
come on.
They got the two ladies have basically taken the newsroom hostage, right? You got Taylor Lorenz on one level, who's like doesn't do her job, and then when he gets called out, she's like, "Well, it's everybody else's fault. I'm really the victim here."
Taylor Lorenz was the one. She used to be at the Times, right?
Yeah, correct.
Right, and she's the one who went after Claudia Conway.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
That's
right.
That's
she's a reprehensible human being.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I mean, you're DMing a 15-year-old girl saying, like, if you have any dirt on your parents, like, feel free. I'm happy to listen.
Is unreal.
I mean just when I saw it was Taylor Lorenz, I was like, that's the same woman. This is a reprehensible human being.
Yeah.
This is like someone on the Olivia Nuzzi level.
Sounds like you got a personal.
And there are very few people on the Olivia Nuzzi level, but Taylor Lorenz is right there. Yeah, I do have an axe to grind. Olivia Nuzzi shows up at my house unannounced with crumb cake and trying to induce me to give an interview for her stupid book that never got written.
With crumb cake?
Yes, as an inducement. And I wasn't around.
You're first of all, I'm offended.
Yeah, I don't want to go there, but my 17-year-old daughter answers the door, and she's like, "Is your father here?" And my daughter's like, no, he's not. Because, well, I'm Olivia Nuzzi. I'm a friend of your dad's and a reporter, and I have this crumb cake from. Where is he? Because I'd like to talk to him. And my daughter, my 17-year-old, has been around her entire
she's got
life.
it, right?
Well, unlike the older ones they get a little bit, she's lived the entire thing. She was born when I was U.S. attorney, so she's just like,
she's dialed in.
See you later.
You got to educate him young. Reporters are no one's friend. She's
just
how
like,
you know.
Adios, like leave our house, like go away, goodbye. Yeah, so people who show up at your house and like try to talk to your kids.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's why I analogize it with Taylor Lorenz. You're talking to kids under 18 and trying to get info out of them. Bad people. So I follow them. Sorry, I digress.
No, that's a good.
That is on topic.
Taylor Lorenz.
So the other one's Felicia Sonmez, who has had a couple of run-ins at the Post. She tweeted out, all the rape allegations about Kobe Bryant while the helicopter's on fire. She gets herself into trouble. She gets suspended. She sues the Post. You kind of don't hear much from her, and then all of a sudden now she's back calling out another reporter for what she viewed as a sexist tweet. But rather than deal with that as a professional would internally, she decides to take it to the masses, right? And fight this thing out, which Smug appreciates more than anybody.
It's very important for reporters to hold their newsrooms accountable and burn the place to the ground.
Well, so
Smug's the guy who shows up to a NASCAR event and just wants to see car crashes.
It's it.
Very disappointed when nobody's tire blows out.
Totally
at 200 miles an hour.
It's flames or nothing. So she got fired over the weekend.
Is this tough for you, Smug?
I mean, I think it's great because this just makes the problem bigger. So
you think she's going to go away?
No, just the opposite. So.
She'll be correspondent for Ruthless.
Yeah. There we go, media reporter.
We'll send her to the elephant story.
That could be good. Although I think our mere presence offends her to a point where it might be actionable at some point. I don't know.
So she had sued the Washington Post, and I guess the judge threw out that case. And my theory is she'd been trying to get fired because she's clearly going to be appealing that case, and is like, look at this, they fired me.
So you think this is just an extra?
So a legal strategy?
Yeah, she just decided, you know what, I'm just going to strap on the vest and take the whole place with me. This is how I'm going to have my appeal. That look at them, they fired me because of they hate women, and she. The wild thing is, she's like, this is a very racist, sexist institution, and then the guy who's like, I'm the only Mexican gay reporter here at the Washington Post. And I think what Felicia's doing is terrible, attacking people in public, and she goes right after him. She's like, this is a racist institution. I will show you how it's done.
Now, what happens to Taylor Lorenz through all this?
Well, I think she's kind of ducked underneath this, right? I mean, ordinarily she'd be the one that's out in the front of this, but now Felicia, it's sort of displaced her.
Because when it comes to actual journalism, it's Taylor Lorenz who published a story which was incorrect, where she said she reached out to these individuals for comment. They had proof that she didn't, and the editors had to keep throwing in editors' notes saying that Taylor did not reach out to them, and then she was like, I didn't. I never told my editors I did. And then the editors are like, we apologize to Taylor Lorenz.
Dude, the funniest part, a little update to this part of the story. Mm-hmm. So Eric Wemple, was that his name? The media reporter at the Washington Post?
Yes.
Yeah. So he actually asked the PR department at his own newspaper to clarify the correction, which is still not an accurate correction. And the PR department was like, it stands.
Wait.
Wow.
Seriously. They're like, you motherfucker.
Yes, right. The guy has balls.
They're like, wait a second, don't you understand your job? You're supposed to go after other people.
Yeah. Stelter gets it.
Totally gets it. They're actually going to send him to the Stelter summer camp to learn how to only go after others.
Right.
Other media organizations, not your own.
Right.
This is media accountability, pal? What the hell do you think your job is? This is outrageous. Yeah. That is pretty good. Yeah. That is pretty good. Speaking of media accountability, though, listen, you're kind of a part of the media world.
I am, sure. 4 years now at ABC.
So you have some thoughts on every single Sunday show except Fox.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
They didn't cover
Kavanaugh,
an attempted assassination on a Supreme Court justice.
It's unbelievable. I can't believe I was off this Sunday.
I mean,
I can't believe I was off this Sunday because I would have been all over it. It's just, all I would have said was, let me ask you a question. If it was George or Martha, whoever it was, if the murder attempt was against Sonia Sotomayor or Elena Kagan or Justice Breyer, do you think it would have been a banner headline on the front page of the New York Times and the Washington Post? Of course it would have been.
All we would have talked about.
Been buried because it's Brett Kavanaugh, because they all didn't want him on the court anyway. Mm-hmm. They'd all like him to die, and so they're just like, well, who cares? And so it's a little piece on a tease, for 820 or 821, whatever the hell it was in the New York Times.
Wild.
It's incredible.
And an incredibly credible threat, too. I mean, if you look at the details of the situation, it's...
Well, when the guy says, I've come here to kill him, and he's got a gun and a knife and zip ties and pepper spray and a crowbar, like, I don't know. And in New Jersey, we call that, an outing. But nonetheless, in Washington, D.C., near Kavanaugh's house, and then he tells you, it's not like, oh, he was near Kavanaugh's house and he had these weapons. I wonder what he was up to. They go to say, what are you up to? He goes, oh, I'm here to kill Brett Kavanaugh.
This guy was not functioning all cylinders.
And he says it's because he's mad about abortion. The decision, which was leaked this summer, and you've had all these groups like Demand Justice and Ruth Sent Us, send people out to the homes of these justices. They're trying to just intimidate them, which it's against the law to intimidate a judge. And they're sending groups. They sent groups out the day this news was broken. Yeah. That someone
and Biden
showed
won't
up.
denounce it, by the way.
And Biden
won't do it.
Won't denounce it. People have a right. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let me just say, they were picketing Stephen Breyer's house. You believe me, the White House would be sending Secret Service over there.
Oh, yeah.
We'd have to have a national conversation about how inappropriate.
Not only are we not having a national conversation about it, but Pelosi is resistant to providing any security.
I read this story that AOC went over there, that they were scheduling it for unanimous consent vote in the House, and AOC ran over there to object to make sure it wasn't passed by unanimous consent. I mean,
these people are
because
crazy.
She said, if we're not going to ban assault weapons, we can't. Why should we be protected, but not everybody else? Because not everybody else is writing opinions for the United States Supreme Court that have an impact on the entire country. Idiot.
No kidding.
That's why.
I mean, well said. Well said.
I mean,
yeah, it's crazy, right? These people have lost their mind. Are we going to play a game with
I
the
think we should play a game.
Oh, why not?
All right, we're going to wrap this up with a game.
Excellent.
Governor.
All right.
Which game are we playing, Michael?
We are going to play Claim to Fame.
Excellent.
Claim to Fame.
Couldn't be a better day for it.
You got
Ron Klain.
Yeah, explain the rules.
White House Chief of Staff, as we've discussed here on the program today. He's got kind of a Twitter habit.
Yeah, he does.
He likes to throw a lot of retweets out there, and sometimes it's pretty questionable. So this game, Claim to Fame, I read 4 tweets, 3 of which have been retweeted by Ron Klain.
Oh.
And you're going to play with us, Governor.
Yes, sir.
You have to determine which one was not retweeted by Ron Klain.
Wow.
And this is a tough thing to do.
I'm already intimidated.
It's the hardest game we have. Because there's also some mental game where, like, he comes up with things that, like, you should think he was going to do, and he doesn't do it. So it's, you gotta this is tough. This is tough stuff.
Tweet number 1. This is from Stephanie Rule.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Her thing was what did she say? Like, what are Republicans' plan for inflation?
Oh, no. In all caps. All caps. What is the Republican plan to combat inflation? All caps. That's it.
Not having spent the money in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just such a hackish, Democratic establishment
Total
take,
hackish
right?
thing. Come on.
I mean, okay. All right.
Tweet number 2, and this is from Titus, the comedian. I remember when gas was cheap. We were locked down and couldn't go anywhere. None of us had jobs or paychecks. 500,000 people died. Our leader at that time mused about injecting bleach to stop a virus. Same guy that wanted to date his own daughter.
Oh, jeez.
if ain't perfect yet,
wait
just
a second.
better.
To be fair, he didn't say he wanted to date her. He just said she was hot.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
That's
I think
important clarification.
It's an important clarification.
Okay.
So that's
so
it's true.
It's Titus. I'm familiar with his work, but he's clearly
I think Trump has a potential defamation suit against him.
I feel like there's something there. Okay.
Tweet number 3 from Pam Keith. Inflation is not Biden's fault.
Oh, wow.
But a bootleg, unreliable, and failing electric grid in Texas is 100% Abbott's fault.
What?
Nice.
That's a tough pivot.
That's tough.
That's a tough pivot.
That is a real tough pivot.
Where's Pam Keith?
Florida.
She's from Florida, opining about Texas.
It's
all right. Good.
Not at all on topic, but thanks, Pam, for your submission.
Tweet number 4 from the Washington Post opinion section.
He's a big fan of this. This is where this gets tricky.
We're in the midst of a, quote, great return to work. It's worth celebrating, the editorial board writes.
Oh. Wow.
There's a lot. There's a lot there.
So this gets tough. So generally what we do is I'll shield my eyes, and at some point Smug here will make a selection, and then we'll talk through it.
Okay.
All right.
This is my guess for which one Klain did not retweet.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Should we have the governor also secret signal or talk through it first?
Well, let's talk through. I think he's got something to offer on this.
Okay.
So
let me know if you need a reread of any of those.
I feel like, I mean, look, the Stephanie Rule tweet was so omnipresent, and it is so perfectly Democratic establishment. Like, you could go one of two ways. Either he's just trying to trick us by throwing us off this, but like basically every Democrat was on board with this thing.
Yeah.
So if he didn't, he just sort of missed it. I find it hard to believe.
That guy, I mean, this is coming from me, but that guy lives on Twitter. Like, Klain
does.
If there's a tweet taking off, that's crazy as hell.
They also think
he's with it.
You know what I love about this take from Stephanie Rule? They really think this is like the cheat code. Like oh, we've blunted their attacks. We asked them what they would do.
Yeah.
And my retort to that is always, well, I don't have a fucking time machine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I would say, I gotta believe he retweeted the Washington Post opinion page, because I gotta believe he he has that it gets dropped on his chest in the morning before he's even out of bed.
Yeah.
And he's reading what they wrote that day and in there. So I gotta believe he retweeted that.
They're like, these are the talkers, Klain.
Yeah. Here you go.
Totally. So I think that Stephanie Rule is an RT.
Okay.
I don't know this Titus person at all. That's a wild tweet, especially with the daughter stuff, right?
Yeah.
That feels like that's pretty hot for a White House chief of staff.
Yeah.
Let me just pause on that, because he's thrown me off on these before. So I'm going to pause on that one. Pam Keith, I don't know. I mean, she's basically saying inflation's not his fault, but the grid is Abbott's fault. I tend to think maybe he did retweet this only because it makes no sense.
Well, because it's taking a shot at Abbott, so why not?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it absolves Biden and is taking a shot at Abbott. So I could see him doing that.
Okay. All right.
I think the daughter thing makes
it's harder, right?
It makes it problematic, but not impossible.
Not impossible.
They think they can say anything about Trump and get away with it.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Anything.
That's right.
So that's what got me a little.
So in the final one on the Washington Post, this is where this gets so difficult, because he is a frequent retweeter of Jennifer Rubin and Max Boot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? And so he loves the opinion page of the Washington Post. Where the old man has thrown me off here on occasion is that he will throw one of these into there, knowing that we know that they're
It's kind of pat.
It's like catnip for Klain. But
it's like a mind game I'm playing.
Maybe you missed one.
See, that was my guess, is that Duncan is trying to throw a switcheroo of Klain did not retweet this, but we all know Klain lives for Jen Rubin takes, Washington Post opinion takes.
That's right.
Oh, we brushed him back for several months when we sort of blew that up. But now he's back into it. All right. I'm going to go with number 2 as the no RT.
This is the tightest.
Wait, you got to get the Gov selection here.
I'm going to go, since you did that, I don't want to say the same one, so I'm going to go with the Pam Keith one.
Okay, number 3.
No RT, number 3.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. Right. So Klain did RT Stephanie Rule.
Okay.
The first tweet.
Oh.
The tightest tweet, same guy that wanted to date his daughter. Klain did retweet.
No!
Unreal.
Oh, that's good.
This guy. I mean, he just doesn't care.
It's unbelievable.
Zero
and I actually missed this one, but I got to give a shout out to Klain_watch. Klain Watch.
Klain Watch.
There's a Twitter account that sort of captures all this stuff. Number 4, the Washington Post was retweeted.
Wow.
Number 3, the governor is correct.
He got it. He got it. He
Was
nailed
not
it.
RT'd.
Outstanding.
Wow.
Nailed it.
Outstanding.
That's incredible.
Man, I'm telling you. I feel I'm going to weep. I'm so happy.
You won the game.
I won Klain.
Yeah.
I won the Klain to fame.
I think you're the first guest to just have a full-fledged by yourself victory of Klain to fame.
Man, I'm telling you. You guys have really made my week. I don't know. It's like what to go all the way back to Marco Rubio. So what my wife said to me at the commercial break. So the commercial break in these debates, you're not allowed to talk to your staff the staff's over green rooms. You can't talk to them. You can't have your phones or anything else. But your family's sitting in the front row. You can go and chat with your family. So, when you're in the middle of a debate, you're not seeing the TV coverage. You think you did well. Like, I thought that was a good interaction between me and Marco, but you don't really know for sure. So I kneel down at the edge of the stage, and my wife and my 2 youngest children come up. And I look at my wife and I said, so how did it go? And she said, how did it go? And I said, she said, if they ask you any other questions in the debate, just say, pass. That's the way I feel about claim to fame. I'm never going to do it again. Take the win and leave the stage. She was like, just say pass. And right when she says that, I get grabbed by the shoulder from behind, and it's Trump. Now, remember, back in these days, Trump wasn't friends with anybody else on that stage.
Yeah.
They all hated him.
Right.
I was his only friend on the stage. So during the commercial breaks, what they should sell to raise money for the RNC is to show the commercial breaks. Like, you can pay a pay-per-view channel that you pay for to go and watch what happens during the breaks, because you can see who likes each other, who doesn't like each other, who's Ted Cruz trying to put his daughter on his lap for the press to see, and she doesn't want to be, and she's pulling away, and he's shoving her down on his lap. I mean, that's the stuff that goes on during breaks.
I would love the mic'd up part of this too. It'd be sort of like having the cut guy in your corner, during a boxing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it would be great. I think
great.
you could make a ton of money on that.
Yeah.
But I get grabbed behind, it's Trump. And I said, hey, Donald. And he goes, don't ever get mad at me. He goes, that poor little bastard. He said, I thought I was going to have to catch him. I thought he was going to faint. He said, don't get mad at me, okay? Let's never get mad at each other. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, yeah, no problem. He turned around and walked away.
I love it. That's
so claim to fame, I'm retired.
Take it.
Retiring 1-0, done with it.
Take the dub. Listen, Governor, can't thank you enough for spending the time with us.
Thank you for having me, guys. I listen all the time, and I love the full ride along. And when I got offered that, I'm like, I'm in.
Truly, anytime you're in town.
Yeah.
Drop on by.
Yeah, you got something to say.
We got a mic waiting for you.
Do I have something to say?
Yeah.
By the way, on Predicted, that's like 150 cents. You're like, does he have something to say? Yeah, that costs you 150 cents.
That mark gets all the way to the top.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, that's good. 8 cents, huh, for Tom Price?
Yeah.
8 cents.
He feels like that's a buy, folks.
I think remember, there's going to be a runoff here.
Hey, he's up to 10 cents now.
Oh, have that hit?
We're moving the market.
Before he lost 2 cents.
We're moving.
I should have gone on my phone and paid too much damn attention to what we're doing. Should have been on the Predicted on the app and be getting it done. What's the most you've ever won on Predicted?
We had a ton on Todd Young a few years ago.
Yeah.
Todd Young, he was down like 25 points to Evan Bay, and he hit like they were giving him like 5, 6, 7 cents or something like that.
We knew he was going to win.
And we worked on
working for him.
on that cat. We were like, he's going to win this thing. So that was probably
that's a big win.
That was the biggest win.
The Todd Young win is a big win.
That one was huge.
Todd Young, one time, I'll give you a Todd Young story. He is doing a phone call for the Georgia Senate runoffs because he was chairman of the NRSC. Right. And so he's trying to raise money, and he's doing a Zoom call with a whole bunch of us who are raising money for it. And as it turns out, the last Zoom call where you could really put money together, Karl Rove gets President Bush 43 to be willing to come onto the Zoom call, make some comments, and take some questions from the donors in order to induce them to try to give more money. So it's going to be a big thing, right? So Todd Young is introducing Karl, who will introduce the president. And in introducing Karl, in a moment that is just unbelievable, he introduces Karl as Bush's brain. With the president on the call. And I'm like, so you think, you're in the Zoom world, you're all detached and separated. So you can't look at each other, right? You're like, right? So I'm like, am I crazy, or was that just awful, right? So I
because that was the hit at the time. I mean, that was all the magazines.
And there was a book, a hit book on it. All. And so before Karl gets to speak, I'm texting Haley Barber, who's also on the call, going like, was that one of the most awful things you've ever heard in your life? And Karl then says, and Karl feels like he has to
gotta address
smack back at Todd, right? And he's like, Well, Senator, let me first say thanks for the introduction, but there is only one brain for the 43rd President of the United States, and it's his. And all of us followed his instincts and his principles, and that's why we had the successful presidency that we did. And I was like, good try. I just don't know. I mean, I remember sitting there saying to myself, I can't believe that anybody, like, I know it must have been nerves.
Just
like the president, and just because he's a great guy and a really good senator,
and certainly would never try to offend, right?
No, and not offend Bush 43 of all people, right? and yet, to the president's credit, he like it never happened.
Blew right through it.
He just blew right. He made fun of Carl. Right, he made fun of Carl, which he does really well, and then just blew through it and talked about the 2 Senate races in Georgia, and that was that. But I remember sitting there saying to myself, like, oh my God, when this guy gets off the Zoom call, he's going to be like, I can't believe I did that. Right? Like anybody who's a professional politician, right? That's like the old Saturday Night Live thing where they're the guy's imitating Bush, Will Ferrell's imitating Bush, and he goes. Did I say that? That was an inside word. Inside word got out. That was like what happened to poor Todd Young there. It was like, it was an inside thing. He was thinking about that, and it came out. It was terrible.
It happens really to the best of us. But
happens to all of us.
That's a tough thing on that kind of call.
It happens to all of us, but on that one, with the president on the call, you want to go,
listen, I could sit and listen to Chris Christie stories for like 5 hours. Yeah. So we're going to do this again.
I'm ready.
All right?
I'll be back down around here. We'll do another ride-along sometime.
Awesome. Governor Chris Christie, thanks for showing.
Boys, thank you very much.
And I got to say, absolute banger of an episode myself. Thanks so much to the governor. Thank you so much to our listeners. Great episode, gentlemen. So, until next time, minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Thursday. Stay ruthless.